trade settlement cycle is one of those components in the marketplace that everyone sort of knows about, and efforts are going around. People talk about it a lot, but we're going to talk about some efforts to look at whether the trade cycle should be shortened and how that might happen. My guest to talk about that is Elena Staloff, who's the Vice President of Equity Clearing Strategy at DTCC. Elena, thanks for coming by.
Thank you for having me.
So you guys at DTCC are undertaking a study on the trade cycle, and I wondered if you could first tell us sort of like why, the genesis behind this effort that you guys are spearheading.
Sure. Since the financial crisis of 2008, there's been a lot of changes in the marketplace. There's new regulations such as Dodd-Frank, there's new standards coming out from CPSS-IOSCO. There's an increased focus on risk mitigation. At DTCC, we try to comply, or we do comply, with these new requirements.
Right.
And often when we're looking at these new requirements, we say, you know what would help? Shortening the settlement cycle. So we re-looked at the 2000 study, we took it out and we looked at it and we said, you know what, we think a lot of these building blocks are already complete. So we put together a paper that looked at how our members' clearing fund requirement and liquidity requirement would decline if we shorten the settlement cycle. And we took a guess at how many of the building blocks were complete or in progress.
Okay.
And we shared this with the industry at large. And the industry, which we worked through SIFMA, had told us, you know, it probably is time to look at another cost-benefit study.
Right.
But once that study's done, that will determine whether we move forward with the initiative.
Okay. Now, as far as this study goes, DTCC, you guys are not doing this study yourself, right? There's a whole process that you've undertaken to identify a firm to do this. So can you tell us a little bit about the study itself and who you're going to be, you know, polling, if you will, and who's going to do it and that kind of thing?
Sure. We want the study to be independent. So we're going to hire a vendor.
Okay.
And that vendor will work with all the industry constituents. So we plan to maybe survey maybe 250 firms. And we plan to survey all the different constituent groups and firms of different sizes to make sure that when we do this cost-benefit analysis, we look at the cost for each constituent group and the benefits for each constituent group.
Okay, very good. So I guess I mean, you mentioned kind of the regulatory piece of it, so it seems like there are, you know, it's more than the regulation and how that's changed the marketplace, but also, as you say, the cost side of it, right? That's kind of an important component, is that right?
Yes, we know that if we shorten the settlement cycle, and what the industry has told us is to look at moving to T2, T1, and also even to consider T0.
Okay.
But we know that for moving to past T+2, shortening the settlement cycle beyond T+2, is going to take some process reengineering.
Right.
And during that, we want to create process efficiencies. So if we as we define new building blocks, we want to make sure that we include process efficiencies. Okay,
interesting. Now, kind of back to the logistics of the study. So you're going to identify a vendor who will then go out and poll or survey the members of the community, 250, whatever the number might be. What's the ultimate? So you will create a study. Once the study comes out, what happens then?
At the end of the summer, we hope to have a study that identifies the new building blocks.
Okay.
We know that some of the building blocks were complete, but we also think that the world has changed since the year 2000.
Absolutely.
And there may be new building blocks that we haven't considered.
Right.
We hope to put out a paper that identifies the new building blocks and also estimates the cost for reaching these building blocks and the benefits for them.
Okay.
Then we will share it with the industry and have the industry make a decision of what, you know, if we should move forward, and if we do, how we should move forward.
Okay, right, interesting. So you're kind of laying the groundwork, and then at that point, the industry will be able to take it and make some decisions as to a way forward from there.
Right.
Right. Okay, great.
And we think of this as a multi-year project.
Sure.
Something that would span a number of years.
Right. Well, as you mentioned early on, I mean, there's a lot going on in the industry. A lot of changes have taken place. So this would be one more component to sort of add to that.
Right.
So very good. Okay. Well, certainly given the timeline that you've laid out, Elaine, I think it will be good for folks watching on Tab Forum to have you back and talk about the study once it's, you know, completed, and perhaps you can walk us through some of these new building blocks and see how what you guys found out with this study. So look forward to doing that.
I'd appreciate that.
Yeah. So we've been talking about the trade settlement cycle and an effort spearheaded by the DTCC to it's going to be doing a study to look at the building blocks around shortening the trade cycle. There'll be a study hopefully toward the end of this summer that we'll be talking about in Tab Forum, so keep watching. Again, my guest has been Elena Staloff, who's the Vice President of Equity Clearing Strategy at DTCC. Thanks for watching.